The sun beat down mercilessly on the New Mexico desert, casting long shadows across the dusty landscape. Yunbai Park walked carefully, her small frame moving with surprising determination across the rocky terrain. At 12 years old, she was unlike most children her age. While other kids her age might be playing video games or watching cartoons, Yunbai carried a worn leather journal, a small geological hammer, and an insatiable curiosity about the world around her. Her father, Jae-sung, trudged behind her, occasionally checking his GPS and making sure she stayed within sight. They were on a family camping trip, combining his geological research with a chance for some rare family time. Yunbai's mother had packed extra water, extra snacks, and whispered a prayer for her daughter's safety before they left home. The desert seemed endless, a canvas of browns and tans, with scattered rocks and occasional scrub bushes breaking the monotony. Yunbai's eyes moved constantly, scanning the ground. She had inherited her father's keen observational skills and her mother's patience. Where others might see just another stretch of desert, she saw a landscape full of potential discoveries. Something caught her eye, a slight discoloration among the rocks. It wasn't the usual reddish-brown of the desert stones. This was different. Metallic. Almost hidden, but not quite. Yunbai stopped, her heart racing with excitement. She knew better than to shout immediately. Carefully, she pulled out her small brush and began to clear away the loose sand and small rocks. Jae-sung noticed his daughter had stopped moving. "Everything okay, Yunbai?" he called out. But she was focused, her small hands working methodically. The more she brushed, the more she realized this was no ordinary rock formation. The surface beneath the sand was smooth. Too smooth to be natural. Metallic, with a sheen that seemed to shimmer even in the harsh desert light. Yunbai's geological hammer lay forgotten at her side as she continued to clear away the debris. She pulled out her smartphone, taking careful photographs, making sure to capture every detail. "Dad," she called quietly, "you might want to come look at this." Jae-sung approached, expecting another interesting rock or fossil. But when he saw what his daughter had uncovered, he stopped mid-step. The object was definitely not from this landscape. Its edges were too precise, its surface too uniform. This was something entirely different. Yunbai continued to brush away sand, revealing more of the object. It wasn't large, maybe the size of a small car, but it was definitely artificial. Strange symbols were etched into its surface, unlike any language or script Jae-sung had ever seen. The metal, if it was metal, seemed to have a quality that defied normal understanding. It didn't look corroded or damaged, despite what must have been years of exposure to the harsh desert environment. "Don't touch it," Jae-sung warned, but Yunbai was already pulling out her measuring tape, carefully documenting the object's dimensions. Her hands moved with a precision that would have impressed most professional researchers. The desert around them seemed to grow quieter. The wind stopped. Even the distant cry of a hawk seemed to pause. Something about the object felt different. As if it were waiting. Watching. Yunbai felt a strange tingling sensation. Not fear. Something else. Excitement? Anticipation? She couldn't quite explain it. The object seemed to pulse ever so slightly, so subtly that if she hadn't been looking directly at it, she might have missed it completely. Her father was already making calls on his satellite phone. Research teams would be arriving soon. But for now, it was just Yunbai, her father, and the mysterious object that had been hidden in the desert, waiting to be discovered. Little did they know, this was just the beginning of an adventure that would change everything they understood about the universe. The desert continued its timeless vigil, holding its secrets close, waiting to reveal them one grain of sand at a time. The research base was a flurry of activity. Portable tents, sophisticated scanning equipment, and dozens of scientists surrounded the mysterious object Yunbai had discovered. Her father, Jae-sung, watched nervously as his daughter became the center of attention, her detailed notes and initial observations already impressing the senior researchers. Dr. Elena Rodriguez, a renowned expert in extraterrestrial archaeology, approached Yunbai with a mixture of curiosity and professional respect. "Show me exactly how you found this," she said, her voice calm but excited. Yunbai carefully explained her discovery, pointing out the subtle details that had first caught her attention. the object remained unchanged. Its surface, a strange metallic material that seemed to absorb and reflect light in impossible ways, sat quietly amid the scientific chaos. Specialized scanning equipment produced images that made no sense. The object's internal structure defied conventional understanding. It seemed to exist both as a solid and something else entirely. As night fell, the temperature dropped rapidly. The research team set up powerful lights around the discovery site. Yunbai noticed something strange. The object seemed to respond to the light. Tiny lines, almost invisible during the day, began to glow with a soft blue-green luminescence. She pointed this out to Dr. Rodriguez, who immediately called over her colleagues. "Look at this," Yunbai said, her finger tracing the glowing lines. They weren't random. They formed a complex pattern, something between a circuit diagram and an intricate language. The lines pulsed gently, almost like a heartbeat. Suddenly, a low hum filled the air. It wasn't loud, but everyone felt it. The kind of sound that vibrates through bones, that makes hair stand on end. The scanning equipment went crazy, screens flickered, readings jumped wildly, and for a moment, everything seemed to stop. Yunbai felt a connection. It was bizarre and impossible to explain, but she knew something was trying to communicate. The object wasn't just a piece of technology. It was alive in some way she couldn't understand. Dr. Rodriguez tried to maintain professional composure, but her hands were shaking. "We need to document everything," she kept repeating, her voice a mix of excitement and fear. The other scientists moved carefully, taking measurements, capturing video, collecting data. As midnight approached, something unexpected happened. A holographic projection burst from the object's surface. It wasn't clear, more like fragments of images, sounds, and feelings. Glimpses of a world completely different from Earth. Alien landscapes. Strange technology. Fragments of a mission that had been lost for thousands of years. Yunbai stood closest to the projection. While others stepped back, she moved forward. The holographic fragments seemed to shift when she approached, almost as if they were responding to her presence. Her father watched, both worried and amazed. The military had been notified. Secure communication lines were buzzing with reports. This was no simple archaeological find. This was something that could change everything humans understood about the universe. "It's trying to tell us something," Yunbai whispered. The scientists around her looked skeptical, but something in her voice made them pause. The young girl seemed to understand something they didn't. The holographic projection continued, a complex dance of light and information. Fragments of an alien language, technological schematics, star charts from unknown solar systems, all mixed together in a chaotic but somehow meaningful display. As dawn approached, the projection began to fade. But something had changed. The object was no longer just a silent piece of technology. It had become a communication device, a window into a world beyond human understanding. Yunbai looked at her hands. They were slightly glowing, a soft blue-green light that matched the object's projection. Nobody else seemed to notice. Or perhaps they were too busy with their scientific equipment to see. The first contact had begun. And it had chosen a 12-year-old girl as its messenger. The government research facility was a fortress of glass, steel, and controlled environments. Yunbai sat in a specially designed observation room, her movements tracked by dozens of cameras and sensors. Outside the room, scientists worked in shifts, analyzing every piece of data from the mysterious object. Days had passed since the initial discovery. The object, now carefully transported from the desert, seemed to respond only to Yunbai. When other researchers tried to interact with its systems, nothing happened. But when she approached, the strange metallic surface would pulse with soft light, revealing intricate patterns that looked like a mix between circuit boards and an unknown language. Dr. Rodriguez watched carefully, her scientific skepticism battling with her growing understanding that something extraordinary was happening. Yunbai's parents were allowed limited access, their nervousness evident in every movement. Jae-sung would look at his daughter, wondering how a simple family camping trip had transformed into something beyond imagination. The first real breakthrough came unexpectedly. Yunbai was absent-mindedly tracing the patterns on her notebook, patterns she had subconsciously memorized from the object's surface. As her pencil moved, the object in the sealed research chamber began to hum. Soft at first, then growing in intensity. Monitoring equipment went crazy. Strange energy signatures filled the room. The object's surface began to change, sections that looked solid started to move, revealing internal mechanisms that defied current technological understanding. It was as if the object was slowly waking up, responding to Yunbai's unconscious interaction. "Stop drawing," one of the senior researchers commanded. But Yunbai continued, her hand moving almost automatically. The patterns she drew weren't just random lines, they were a complex communication system that seemed to bridge human understanding with alien technology. Holographic projections began to fill the research room. Star systems unknown to human astronomy, technological schematics more advanced than anything on Earth, fragmented communication logs, all began to materialize around Yunbai. She seemed calm, almost as if she had expected this to happen. Military personnel watched from behind reinforced glass. This was no longer just a scientific discovery, it was a potential threat or opportunity that could change human history forever. Some saw a weapon. Others saw a gateway to unimaginable technological advancement. Jae-sung noticed something strange about his daughter. Her eyes seemed different, more focused, reflecting a depth of understanding that went beyond her 12 years. When she spoke, her words carried a weight that made even the most skeptical researchers listen. "It's trying to complete its mission," Yunbai said quietly. The room fell silent. The holographic projection shifted, showing fragments of an ancient journey, a spacecraft lost thousands of years ago, traveling between stars, carrying knowledge from a civilization long forgotten. The object began to generate energy. Not dangerous, but complex. Advanced nanites, microscopic technological components, started to activate. They moved across the object's surface, repairing, reorganizing, preparing for something. Dr. Rodriguez approached Yunbai. "What do you understand?" she asked. The young girl looked up, her eyes reflecting complex patterns of light from the holographic projections. "It was lost," Yunbai explained. "Waiting. Not just a ship. More like a messenger. Carrying knowledge from a civilization that wanted to be found." The researchers exchanged glances. A 12-year-old girl was explaining complex extraterrestrial technology with a clarity that challenged everything they knew about communication and understanding. As night fell, the research facility buzzed with unprecedented activity. The object continued to reveal its secrets, with Yunbai as its primary interface. Something massive was awakening, a technology beyond human comprehension, choosing a young girl as its connection to a world it had been lost in for thousands of years. The awakening had begun. And nothing would be the same again, the research facility transformed overnight. What was once a controlled scientific environment now pulsed with an energy that defied explanation. Yunbai stood at the center of it all, her small frame seemingly connected to the alien technology in ways no one could understand. Holographic interfaces began responding to her touch, creating complex three-dimensional maps of star systems never seen by human eyes. Governments around the world watched the live feeds, their top scientists struggling to comprehend what was unfolding. The alien ship's systems revealed technologies that made current human advancements look primitive. Medical nanites that could reconstruct damaged cellular structures. Energy generation techniques that could power entire continents with a fraction of the resources humans currently used. Communication systems that could transmit information across impossible distances. Jae-sung watched his daughter with a mixture of pride and fear. The girl who had once collected rocks and dreamed of space exploration was now literally bridging humanity with an advanced alien civilization. Her fingers moved across holographic interfaces, translating complex alien languages that no computer had been able to crack. Dr. Rodriguez noticed something even more extraordinary. The ship's systems were actively teaching Yunbai complex scientific principles that would take human researchers decades to understand were being absorbed by the 12-year-old in minutes. It was as if the alien technology recognized something special in her, an openness, a lack of preconceived limitations. Military representatives became increasingly nervous. This wasn't just a technological discovery, it was a complete reimagining of human potential. The alien ship contained blueprints for technologies that could solve global energy crises, medical challenges, and transportation limitations. Yunbai began explaining fragments of the ship's original mission. It was an exploration vessel, sent to find and connect with developing civilizations. But something had gone wrong thousands of years ago. The ship had crashed, hidden, waiting for the right moment, waiting for someone who could understand its true purpose. The most shocking revelation came unexpectedly. The ship wasn't just a piece of technology. It was alive in a way that challenged human understanding of consciousness. It had been learning, waiting, observing human development for centuries. Communication networks worldwide began picking up fragments of the ship's revelations. Scientists worked around the clock, trying to process the massive amount of information being revealed. Each discovery seemed to open up 10 more questions. Energy readings from the ship were unprecedented. It could generate power from quantum interactions that human science had only theorized about. Medical scanners showed its internal mechanisms could repair and regenerate at molecular levels that seemed impossible. Yunbai's parents watched as their daughter became the most important human on the planet. Government officials, top scientists, military leaders all waited for her interpretations. She moved between holographic displays, translating, understanding, connecting. The alien technology showed humanity's potential not as a threat, but as a developing civilization with remarkable capabilities. It revealed scientific principles that suggested humans were on the cusp of understanding something much larger about the universe. As days passed, the revelations continued. The ship shared knowledge about planetary formations, quantum mechanics, biological engineering, and communication technologies that would take human scientists generations to fully comprehend. Jae-sung noticed his daughter was changing. Not physically, but in her understanding. Her eyes reflected a depth of knowledge that went far beyond her 12 years. She was becoming something more, a bridge between human potential and extraterrestrial understanding. The world watched and waited. What had started as a simple desert discovery was now transforming everything humans understood about their place in the universe. And at the center of it all was a 12-year-old girl who had accidentally awakened a technology thousands of years old. Something massive was happening. Humanity was about to take its first real step into a much larger universe. The world changed in ways no one could have predicted. Yunbai became more than just a young girl, she was humanity's primary connection to an advanced alien civilization. Global leaders, scientific institutions, and research centers hung on her every word and interpretation. The alien ship's knowledge began transforming human technology at an unprecedented rate. Medical breakthroughs emerged that could cure diseases once considered impossible to treat. Energy solutions solved global climate challenges. Transportation technologies reduced global travel time to mere minutes. Governments struggled to manage the rapid technological revolution. What had been scientific impossibilities became everyday realities. Yunbai continued to translate and communicate, her young mind somehow perfectly aligned with the alien technology's complex systems. Scientists discovered that the ship had been waiting not just for a human to find it, but for a specific type of human consciousness. Yunbai's unique combination of curiosity, intelligence, and open-mindedness made her the perfect interface. Her lack of predetermined scientific limitations allowed her to understand concepts that older researchers couldn't comprehend. Global education systems began to change. The ship's knowledge suggested that human potential was far greater than anyone had imagined. Children were encouraged to think beyond traditional boundaries, to question everything, to see connections where others saw only separate pieces. Jae-sung and his wife watched their daughter become a global icon. She wasn't just a scientific breakthrough, she was a symbol of human potential. International conferences featured her explanations, her insights becoming the foundation of new scientific understanding. The alien technology revealed something profound about human development. It wasn't about advanced machines or complex systems. It was about potential. The ability to learn, to adapt, to grow beyond current limitations. Military systems worldwide were transformed. Defensive technologies that could prevent conflicts emerged. Communication systems that could bridge cultural differences became possible. The ship's knowledge suggested that true advancement came from understanding, not confrontation. Yunbai continued to work with the ship, her connection growing stronger each day. She explained that the technology wasn't just a machine, it was a living system of knowledge, waiting to help humanity grow. It had traveled across countless star systems, collecting information, waiting for the right moment to share its discoveries. Global challenges began to dissolve. Climate change solutions emerged. Energy production became clean and sustainable. Medical treatments that once seemed like science fiction became standard procedures. The ship's nanite technologies could rebuild ecosystems, heal environmental damage, and support human health in ways never before imagined. The world watched in amazement as a 12-year-old girl became humanity's primary connection to advanced extraterrestrial knowledge. Universities restructured their entire approach to education. Scientific research took quantum leaps forward. Human potential was being redefined daily. Yunbai remained humble. She understood that she was simply a bridge, a connection point between human potential and something much larger. Her parents supported her, watching as their daughter changed the course of human history. The alien ship continued to reveal its secrets. Star maps showed humanity's potential future. Advanced communication technologies suggested ways to connect with other developing civilizations. The universe suddenly seemed smaller, more accessible, more understandable. As years passed, the initial discovery in the New Mexico desert became a turning point in human history. What had seemed like a simple archaeological find transformed into humanity's gateway to understanding its true potential. Yunbai's journey was just beginning. The ship had more to teach, more to reveal. Humanity stood at the edge of a new understanding, not just of technology, but of its own incredible capacity for growth, learning, and connection. The universe had been waiting. And humanity was finally ready to listen.